Hey there, HorseCenter fans. Matt and I are back with another great edition of HorseCenter. Matt, we are talking about some huge racing at Saratoga this weekend.
Sure thing. We got a Super Saturday card coming up at Saratoga with the Whitney as the headliner, but that's not all. We got the Test, the 3-year-old fillies going 7 furlongs, and World of Trouble returns for a big sprint race in the Troy.
Saturday at Saratoga, it's going to be big, Matt. We also want to see Concrete Rose on Friday, Mr. Money out in West Virginia. We're going to be talking about the tax upset in the Jim Dandy, the Great Enable. And how about those sprinters, Matt? Imperial Hint, Shancelot. Watch it all right now here on HorseCenter. Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the outstanding pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I am good, Brian, and I'm going to use one of your favorite questions on the show. Where are you, my friend?
Where am I? I'm on location, Woburn, Mass, Matt. I'm enjoying a family vacation before hitting the spa today, Matt. I'll be there today. I'll see you before they run the Birdstone. I will be at Saratoga. Can't wait to see you and to see my old friend Saratoga. Speaking of Saratoga, Matt, let's jump into a big Saturday. We're going to preview the Whitney first on the rail, Matt. Imperative, 9 years old. I think he's seen better days. I can't really play Imperative in this spot.
Yeah, that's for sure. You got to give the horse credit, though. 9 years old, won over $3 million. One of the owners, Ron Paolucci, the personality that he is, he has said that if Imperative does not run well in the race, he will be retired after this start.
Well, I wish him a happy retirement, but I don't like him in the Whitney, nor do I like the two, Matt. Forewarned, Uriah's bringing in a horse who looks to be a little light on class for this Grade 1 test.
Yeah, that's for sure. When I looked at the horse, I thought maybe that's the one that should be owned by Paolucci because he's an Ohio bred. And I agree with you, Brian. I don't like that horse at all. But, hey, we remember that Uriah St. Louis upset and was the upset winner of the Jockey Club Gold Cup one year with Discreet Lover. But this horse is no Discreet Lover.
Yeah, and in fact, that was just last year, I think, Matt. Yeah, we're going to move on from Forewarned. We're going to go to the 3, Matt. One of my favorite names, Monongahela. Jason Service brings in this horse who's been a nice horse, and I think his last race was his best race yet.
Yeah, that's for sure. Monongahela, that's one of the 3 rivers out there in Pittsburgh, I think. Yeah, he won the Grade 3 Islin at Monmouth Park, and before that had strung together a bunch of second places in stakes races in the mid-Atlantic region. Certainly a little bit better than those first 2 that we mentioned. Trained by Jason Service, which means it's tough to ever dismiss a Jason Service horse in here, but probably not one of my top horses.
Me neither, Matt. I guess of the long shots, he's the possibility, but I'm not really on the long shots in this race. Now, the number 4, Matt, may be the speed of the race. I'm talking about, of course, the $16 million man, the 2-time winner of the Dubai World Cup. We got Thunder Snow breaking from the middle of the pack. Matt, does he go right to the lead?
It looks like that is a possibility, and as we remember, Thunder Snow last time ran a decent 3rd place in the Met Mile, going that 1-turn mile, which I certainly don't think is his forte. Also do need to note that Thunder Snow has never won a race in the United States.
He's run a lot of good races here, though, Matt, and I would say even better than decent was his performance, beating less than a length, went 3rd in the Met Mile behind Matoli and McKinsey. And I tell you what, you never know. First time at Saratoga track is a little different than other tracks. We'll see. But if Thunder Snow runs back to that race and maybe even a little bit better and maybe a little bit easier of a lead, I certainly think Thunder Snow, again, the $16 million man, Matt, I think he's a threat to win it all. Maybe it's the second choice, I guess. Nice horse. This would be a good spot to get your first win in America, the 9 furlong Grade 1 Whitney. Matt, speaking of a nice spot, is it a nice spot for Vino Rosso? I remember last year he ran a decent enough Jim Dandy 9 furlongs at Saratoga this time of year, beaten less than a length. But this is a tougher spot. He's coming in from a little bit of a break after winning the Gold Cup out there at Santa Anita last time, which was a nice performance from the 4-year-old son of Curlin.
Yeah, for me, Vino Rosso, the question is not necessarily how he did in the Gold Cup. For me, it's has Vino Rosso turned the corner and matured and become a horse that we can expect consistent performance from? I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, I think we'll get an answer to it, obviously, after the Whitney is run. If in fact he is that more mature shot, I think he's got a good chance in the Whitney, but I don't know.
Fair enough, Matt. Vino Rosso, listen, folks, Vino Rosso, Matt and I, especially me, sometimes I get the heart in the way of the head. Handicapping this race, Vino Rosso can't be my top pick. But on the other hand, as my friend Tony Bada Bing, by the way, Tony Bada Bing, a wonderful horse racing guy that we're both friends with, Matt. That's where I am right now in Woburn, Mass. I'm at Tony Bada Bing's house. And he teased me, as many do, about my affinity for Vino Rosso. I think I bet him in 9 straight races, Matt. People tease me about that, but I will say he won 3 of those 9 races. So, hey, 33.33%, Matt. That's not so bad. My heart wants to like him in here, but my head says he's probably not the most likely. He did show a little bit more get up and go early in the race last time, and I think that might be a good thing for him as part of his maturity. Listen, he's a 4-year-old son of Curlin. There's every reason to believe he can get better. He's run decently enough at Saratoga, as I mentioned already. So I would like to see Vino Rosso do well. I'll probably have money on him for the 10th straight time, Matt. I'll be rooting for him. We'll see. Number 6, McKinsey. Certainly McKinsey looks like the favorite. He won that big Malibu to end last year, and he had 1 win out of 4 that was very impressive at Churchill Downs this year, Matt. But he's run into a little bit of tough luck in the other 3, including last time where second to Matoli in the Met Mile, maybe he was the best horse in the Met Mile.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the favorite in here. So many fans, his reputation, Baffert, Mike Smith, all the usual things to say about McKinsey. But I kind of feel about McKinsey the same way that I feel about Vino Rosso. I don't know what to expect. He is 1 for 4 this year. Only that one that you mentioned, that 1 win that you mentioned down at Churchill Downs. Certainly the Met Mile was a very good performance with a tough trip along the rail where he had to steady a couple times. Don't know if he would have beaten Matoli anyway if he had a smooth trip. But again, I don't know what to expect. And when I feel like that, I certainly don't want to be betting on a horse that's 8-5 or 7-5 or 9-5.
Yeah, I certainly think he will be the favorite. And I certainly think if you look at his last 5 races, since maybe they rushed him just a little bit to get to the Breeders' Cup Classic, I think all 5 of those races are really good performances. I think he probably sits a good trip here behind Thunder Snow in a kind of an attacking, stalking position. Hey, I already said I'm for Vino Rosso. He's the horse I like with my heart. He's the horse I'd like to see win, and I think he's got a shot. But logically, McKinsey is the horse to beat here. Yeah, I don't like betting favorites either, but in my multi-race wagers, McKinsey is a must-use for me. Number 7 is Yoshida, Matt, and the form this year does not look great. But on the other hand, if you look back to his 1 dirt race at Saratoga, you have to at least consider Yoshida, and I think he's 10-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, Brian, again, like you said, his form is not good, but if you go back in the form like you said that we should do and look before he won the Woodward last year at Saratoga, the past performances look the same. I think he had a couple of 5th place finishes heading into the Woodward, and here he's got a couple of 6th place finishes heading into the Whitney. Again, another one of those horses where I just don't know what to expect. But like you said, 10-to-1 odds is a lot more attractive than what we'll see on McKinsey and maybe, for that matter, on Vino Rosso.
Fair enough. Yoshida, yeah, he is a horse you don't know for sure. But Saratoga's a track that often you either like or you don't like. And we know Yoshida likes it. Maybe those races aren't quite as bad as they look on paper. Or maybe I'm having an on here, getting a reason to get some odds. I think he is the fifth choice in here. And I think there's reason to think he could bounce back a little bit. So an interesting kind of lukewarm long shot there for trainer Bill Mott. Finally, Matt, the 8-horse field is filled out by Preservationist. Preservationist is a mature horse. He hasn't raced a lot in his life, but he looks good. He's won 3 in a row now, I believe. And, of course, that Suburban was a big performance last time.
Yes, certainly he is at the best form that he has ever been in, and I guess there's room for him to continue to improve. Got a big speed figure, as good as anybody else in the field has run. In the Suburban, I was a little surprised by the morning line odds that came out that had him as a 3-to-1 second choice in the race. Feels a little low to me. I guess maybe I'm thinking that if I was going to bet on Preservationist, I would want higher odds than that 3-to-1.
Agreed. And I am a little skeptical. That big race came at 1.25 miles at Belmont. Now he's cutting back down to 1.8 miles at Saratoga. Listen, I think Centennial does have a nice horse in here, and maybe a race like the Jockey Club Gold Cup again could be right up his alley. In here, if he's vying for second choice behind McKinsey with possibly Thunder Snow or Vino Rosso or all three of them are similar odds as the co-second choices, I'm not excited about betting him again. Maybe he's gotten this good. Maybe he runs a big race on Saturday. But at the odds, I don't like him as much as a few others in here. So I'm going to kind of wait and see. I guess what I'm saying is I'm rooting for Vino Rosso. Maybe he'll be the fourth choice, maybe lower, I'm not sure. But again, I think McKinsey is the horse to beat, but I do respect that speed of Thunder Snow here in the Whitney.
Yeah, and for me, Brian, if you're looking for a top choice from me, I'm going to go with Thunder Snow.
Thunder Snow, okay. And I think that's wire to wire, and I think that's a very viable pick from you, Mr. Schiffman. All right, Matt, same day, same grade 1. We're talking 3-year-old fillies going 7 furlongs. Originally, in fact, I wrote an article on this race earlier in the week. I expected the super fast, undefeated break even to be in the race. She did not end up being entered. That leaves Kofefe as a little bit of a wild card here with her speed, trying to stretch it out for the 7 furlong test. Can Kofefe go wire to wire in here, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian, that Kofefe's speed is certainly going to be a big factor in this race when you talk about the fact that on the rail is Serengeti Empress, and we know that when Serengeti Empress is a winner, it's because she has been running on the lead, breaking from the rail. I guess Serengeti Empress is going to have to knock heads with Kofefe in there. To Serengeti Empress's credit, she does have a 7 furlong win in her past performances. Kofefe does not. She tired a bit in her last start, so I'm a little dubious about her stretching out to 7 furlongs, which isn't the case with Serengeti Empress. But there's a lot of other very good horses in this field, Brian.
Yeah, Serengeti Empress, it's interesting because she is speed, and Kofefe is sprinter speed. So it'll be interesting to me to see whether Kofefe can open up a little bit on Serengeti Empress early, or if Serengeti Empress throws it down and brings it right to Kofefe early, and that really will play a big part in this. Certainly the other undefeated filly, Royal Charlotte, 4 for 4 now for trainer Chad Brown. I think she's going to get bet, Matt, and I think she could actually end up being the favorite, despite moving up a little bit in class. She can stalk, as can Bellafina, the classy California filly, who I think has been forgotten a little bit in here. So what happens in the rest of the race, I think, is a little dependent on how Kofefe and Serengeti Empress go at it or don't go at it early. But certainly Royal Charlotte moving up, but 4 for 4, keeps winning for trainer Chad Brown. And Bellafina have proven themselves at 7 furlongs and have proven to be able to kind of sit a stalking trip and pounce at the right time. So I think both of them are big threats in here. Although I think Bellafina might have the better odds kind of coming out of that Kentucky Oaks in here. And I know she's got class.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. It certainly seems like the race is going to set up for the running style of Bellafina and Royal Charlotte. Chad Brown is going great guns up here at Saratoga, winning on the dirt as well as on the turf. But I agree that this is a little bit of a step up in class for Royal Charlotte. Interesting race, as is my tendency always to go with the off-the-pace horses. I guess I like Bellafina and Royal Charlotte in here better than Serengeti Empress and Covfefe.
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit too, Matt. Covfefe really fast. She hasn't completely proven to me that she can beat the very best last time. Mia's Mischief is a very good older horse, yes. So that was no real negative for Covfefe last time at Churchill Downs, but again, I think the pace, whether Serengeti Empress and Covfefe go at it or not, really has a big part of this outcome. At the odds, though, I think Bellafina is the play for me. I think she'll be ready for the 7 furlong test. She's 2 for 2 at the distance, and she's got a lot of class. Hoping bettors forget about her, and maybe she goes off as the 4th choice in here. We'll see. The long shots in here, Matt, there's 3 of them. They're not bad horses. Trenchtown Cat, Jeltrin, and Please Flatter Me. Of course, Please Flatter Me was really bombed by Covfefe down in Maryland, but she's a nice spinner. Jeltrin was 3rd in both the Acorn and the Mother Goose, but Trenchtown Cat is the long shot that interests me since she switched to turf. She beat some fast 3-year-old fillies down in Florida, and then she ran against a very good older horse last time, and Stormy Embrace was 2nd there, kind of in traffic. I think Trenchtown Cat is a viable long shot, also kind of a stalker in here as well.
I agree with that, Brian. I have Trenchtown Cat in my top 4 when I handicap the race.
Excellent. So look at Trenchtown Cat, especially. I think she'll be double digits on the tote board, folks. She won't be respected coming from Florida, but it looks like she's become a really good sprinter, again, since she switched to dirt. So that's the Grade 1 test, Matt. What else do we have this weekend? We got some big names running. Concrete Rose. Concrete Rose is running on Friday, Matt. That's the brand new Saratoga Oaks, a mile 3/16. It's part of this Triple Tiara series for the turf fillies. Concrete Rose has been simply sensational this year. Newspaper of record was the sensational 2-year-old turf filly. Now it's Concrete Rose. I don't see her losing this race, frankly, Matt. I know she's 2 to 5 on the morning line, which is tough to swallow, but she's a single for me in the late pick 5, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. The field came up small and kind of light for the new $750,000 Saratoga Oaks, which is the 2nd leg of the Turf Tiara that the NYRA racing office has created, but I don't see Concrete Rose lose it in here.
And she's really putting together a pretty special year. If it continues on Friday, Matt, we should start talking about Concrete Rose as really a budding turf superstar in American racing, because she's been that good so far this year in her 3 wins. I guess Happen is the horse most likely to give her any trouble. An interesting young filly coming over for O'Brien. Ryan Moore is set to ride her in here, so that says something that they do like Happen a little bit. But for me and Matt, it's Concrete Rose. Also at Saratoga, I believe we're jumping back to Saturday, Matt. We got World of Trouble, who we've talked about a lot this year. 4 for 4, turf, dirt, sprints. Do we expect him to roll in yet another sprint race and make it 5 for 5?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Brian. You talked about horses getting forgotten. That might be the case a little bit about World of Trouble with all of the fantastic sprint performances that we've been seeing lately. But yeah, Brian, in the Troy Grade 3, the 5th race on that really nice Saturday card. World of Trouble is a heck of a sprinter, but this is not a cakewalk in here. There's couple of really good horses in there, really good turf sprinters that are on winning streaks of their own in Pure Sensation and in Wet Your Whistle. So it isn't going to be easy for the Jason Service trainee, but for me, I've seen World of Trouble run enough times that I respect his talent tremendously.
Yeah, we're talking about a big favorite here in the Grade 3 Troy, Matt, and World of Trouble. I'm with you. I have utmost respect for World of Trouble. He's a great sprinter on slop, on fast dirt, and certainly on turf. Ran a huge race as a 3-year-old in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint last year. Having said that, just like last week when I said I think Batoli's in for a tough time in the Vanderbilt, I also feel like World of Trouble is in a tough spot here. There is really, really good speed. Pure Sensation is the best, I guess, of the other speed, but there's more than that in here. I think World of Trouble has a tough spot. I could really see him losing this race, Matt. And the horse that I like the best is Wet Your Whistle. You kind of alluded to him. He's on a winning streak this year, coming from Canada now. And I think he sits a trip in his 5.5 furlong turf stake with all this. They're going to run 43 and change, Matt. And I think Wet Your Whistle is in a great spot to pick him up. Disco Partner's also a horse that can come from off the pace, but I don't think he's quite what he used to be. I think he prefers Belmont to Saratoga as well. So watch out for Wet Your Whistle. World of Trouble is certainly one of the best sprinters we have in the country, but tough spot. Don't be surprised if he gets upset on this race on Saturday. And one more horse I want to talk about, Matt, because Mr. Money deserves to be talked about. Much like Concrete Rose, he's on a 3-race winning streak. Churchill Downs, the Pate Mile, the Matt Win, and then up at Indiana, my friends there in India, near Indianapolis, the Indiana Grand for the Indiana Derby, and Mr. Money did it again there. I think he's one of the best 3-year-olds in the country. He stretches out just a half a furlong to 9 furlongs for this West Virginia Derby. Doesn't look like a great field's against him. Does he win again, Matt?
Well, it sure looks like it, and and this is not a criticism, but they keep going for the money, as in his name, Mr. Money, in these mid-major derbies, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's on the winning streak. So with any winning streak, Brian, they don't go on forever, but Mr. Money looks like a tough one to beat.
Yeah, I like him in his spot as the favorite, Matt. It looks like to me Mouth Wizard is the horse most likely to give him a tussle if he can run back to that really good Ohio Derby. He ran a couple starts back, didn't have a perfect trip in Indiana against Mr. Money last time. But Mr. Money, again, I'm going to repeat this, I think he is one of the best 3-year-olds in the country. And now we have all these strong races this week. But let's talk a little bit about last week, because certainly there were some important results from last week. Tax beat Tacitus. He turned the tables of the Wood Memorial. Of course, Tacitus had a pretty tough trip there in the Jim Dandy, didn't he?
He sure did. Stumbled badly out of the gate, and then was running along the inside for some of the race, which on that Saturday was not the best place to be. But hats off to Tax. I think they were really, really aiming for this race. This race was a goal for Danny Gargan and the team of owners, and maybe wasn't the main goal for Tacitus heading to the Travers. And if I'm not mistaken, Brian, I think Tax was your pick in that race.
No, he wasn't my top pick, Matt, but he was certainly a horse I did bet. He was my second pick. My top pick was War of Will, and I worry a little bit about War of Will getting just a little bit weary after all this racing and tough racing he's done. It happened to another Cassie horse last year, Wonder Gadot. She kind of tailed off about this time. So I'm wondering if War of Will is also tailing off, because he didn't really have much for Tax. When Tax got up to him coming out of the turn, I did like Tax, although I was disappointed. I kind of thought he'd be about 9-1, and he was only 9-2. So Tacitus, of course, we called it a Travers prep, but it was a big performance. He literally did go down to his nose coming out of the gate. He wanted to rally anyway, so maybe it wasn't that big a deal, but he lost ground, and he didn't lose by that much. I think Tacitus becomes the Travers favorite off this second-place performance. But I'll say this, Tax, there's no reason in the world why Tax doesn't like 1.25 miles. Clearly, he likes Saratoga, And Tax may have higher odds in the Travers than he did in the Jim Dandy. In fact, I'm predicting he will be higher than 9-2. Don't disrespect Tax moving on to the Travers. And folks, we're going to talk a lot about the Travers, a little early talk about the Travers next week right here on HorseCenter. So don't miss that. And Matt, you can never miss a race that Enable runs. We said the King George and Queen Elizabeth was going to be a tough race for her. It was. Crystal Ocean threw everything but the kitchen sink at the great 5-year-old mare, but Enable did it once again.
That's for sure. And even I made sure to be watching this one live on my laptop, and it was an amazing performance. Getting pretty far behind and then coming down the stretch, took the lead, but it kind of gave it up a little bit to Crystal Ocean in there. But wow, what grit and determination and talent and class. And just a reminder that she's doing this against the boys all the time.
The best horse in the world. I'm sure she made our great Englishman buddy Mark Hode extra happy. And what can you say about Enable? She is pure class. Hey, Matt, Imperial Hint, if you look, now I know he's had a really good sprinting career, but if you just look at the last two Vanderbilts, the running of the Vanderbilt the last 2 years at Saratoga, wow, Imperial Hint showed up again. We thought he might. First win of the year, showed up big time in the Vanderbilt.
That is for sure a super performance, very fast, 107 and change, big speed figures, broke Matoli's winning streak in there. Nothing but kudos for Imperial Hint. He certainly had the best of the trips, certainly had the best of the racetrack, certainly had a perfect setup, but he took advantage of all of those positives.
Yeah, big win for Imperial Hint. Matoli's not done by any means. We said it before the race. It's a tough spot for Matoli. Imperial Hint was huge, though, in the Vanderbilt. As was Shancelot, Matt. He's 3 for 3. He's a 3-year-old. The next day in the Amsterdam, he won by a pole.
He sure did, Brian. And typically when you see a horse winning by 12 lengths, it's usually for some reason, a small field, a wet track, something like that. But this was a 12-horse field in a graded stakes race against some pretty good 3-year-old sprinters in there. And Brian, that race was over as soon as the bell rang and the gates popped open, because Shancelot went to the lead and widened, went 6.5 furlongs in super fast time. His split in that race for 6 furlongs was faster than Imperial Hint's winning time in the Vanderbilt. Finished the line, got the highest buyer speed figure of any horse this year, and probably in a long time. 3 wins in a row. Trainer Jorge Navarro for the Monmouth Park-based horse.
Yeah, Shancelot certainly is a horse with speed to burn. It'll be interesting to see how his career develops. Matt, I'm gonna warn all those Shancelot lovers that it's only going to get tougher now, because he's probably going to go against older horses very soon. And it's different running against what he ran against in the Amsterdam than running against, per se, horses like Matoli and Imperial Hint. But Shancelot is impressive as could be in winning the Amsterdam. All right, that's another show, Matt, in the books. HorseCenter, whoo! We love doing HorseCenter. We're going to be together on location in Saratoga as of today. So I'm looking forward to seeing you, sir, as I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of HorseCenter fans out there at Saratoga. I want to thank also our sponsor, the best contest site out there, Derby Wars. Folks, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here on Horse Racing Nation, please do so. How about a parting shot from you, Matt Schiffman?
I am looking forward to seeing you, my friend, and our friend, Mr. Bada Bing, this afternoon at Saratoga. And there have been so many fans, Brian, of the show. If any of you are out there, you can get Brian and I together. So look for us hanging around this afternoon. And as always, I want to thank our producer, Brett Workman, for putting together the show.
Thanks to Brett. See you soon, Matt, at Saratoga. And thanks to you for watching every week here on HorseCenter. We'll be back next week, as I mentioned, with a early preview of the Travers. We'll see you then.